Let's hear the Sam Sulek top 10 exercise. You can only pick 10. Where are we going?
And so although it's choosing these exercises for the rest of your life, if he continues to ego lift, who knows? In 10, 20, perhaps 27 years when he's as old as Coach Greg, perhaps he won't be able to do it. Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going over Sam Sulek's top 10 exercises that if he could only do these exercises, these would be the ones he does for the rest of his life. Now remember, just because he favors these 10 doesn't mean they're the most important 10, doesn't mean they're the only 10 you should do, doesn't mean they're the best 10. They're the 10 that he wants to do.
Let's hear the Sam Sulek top 10 exercise. You can only pick 10. Where are we going?
Yeah, I feel like I just did this, so I might be saying the same thing over again.
That's okay. New audience.
I might just have to pick one per muscle group, because any real lifter isn't going to neglect any specific part of their body because they want to get huge all around.
And so the first thing he says is you need to pick one exercises per muscle group because no real bodybuilder is going to skip out on any given body part.
But quads, leg extensions.
For the quads, he's picking leg extensions. For me, I don't like leg extensions. The only time I do leg extensions when another machine is not available or I'm just too frigging sore. Leg extensions in comparison to, for example, squats or hack squats or any kind of squatting motion or leg press, to me, a lot easier. And so if I'm really trying to train my legs and I'm trying to get the most amount of gains, I'm always going to pick something like a squat or a leg press over the leg extension. But one of the benefits of doing something like squats, Smith machine squats, leg press, any kind of squatting motion is it doesn't just build your quads, it also does your hamstrings and your glutes. And so if I only have 10 exercises that I can do for the rest of my life, I'm going to be choosing exercises that build more than one muscle. Leg extensions clearly are only working your quadriceps. And so rather than that, I would pick a squat, a leg press, a Smith machine squat, something that can not only build my quads, but also my hamstrings and glutes. But remember, this is exercises he wants to do for the rest of his life. And if he doesn't like those other exercises, he's not likely to do it. And one of the main things to consider when doing an exercise program is that you have to not only like, but love the exercise you're doing. What are the chances you're going to train for the rest of your life? And for Sam, that could be 20, maybe even 70 years, depending on how long he lives, if you don't actually like the exercises that you're doing.
Hamstrings, leg curls.
And for the hamstrings, he chooses leg curls. Now, the research is going to say that the seated leg curl is more beneficial than the lying leg curl due to the fact that in a seated leg curl, the hamstrings are already pre-stretched. And the more you lean forward, the greater that stretch is going to be, and hence the greater the development your hamstrings could potentially get. But remember, it's important to enjoy the exercise. And so maybe he doesn't like seated leg curls. For me, myself, I do prefer doing the seated leg curl. I do feel that pre-stretch, and I do believe that's going to allow for more development. Now, myself personally, I probably wouldn't ever train hamstrings for the rest of my life. I rarely do a set of hamstring curls, whether it's lying or seated or any type of hamstring curls. I hardly ever do it. Literally, when I do squats, my hamstrings are sore for days. I did squats 2 days ago and doing my full body workout, the only muscle that's still sore, guess which one it is? My hamstrings. I didn't do any specific sets for my hamstrings yet. The hamstrings are sore. And so let that be a lesson for you. Listen to your body. Some people are going to say the squats don't really train your hamstrings. It doesn't really do anything to it. I got to disagree. For me, it trains my hamstrings arguably just as much as my quads. My hamstrings, in fact, have better development than of my quads. And so for me, hamstrings get trained easier than friggin' last time.
Chest, incline dumbbell bench.
And for the pecs, he likes the incline dumbbell bench press. Great exercise. Working on the incline, he's going to get more of that upper chest development. Now, for me, I prefer the flat bench press. That was the exercise I really enjoyed. But for me, the flat bench press would have been an exercise at his age that I would have chosen for the rest of my life. But guess what? Now that I'm 48, I can't do the bench press. Too many injuries. Despite the fact that you may love an exercise right now, perhaps it's the bench press, the squat, the deadlift, you might get older and realize you can't do it anymore. You're injured. And so let that be a lesson to you. don't ego lift in the gym. You don't think I ego lifted? Think of it. I was setting world records in the bench press, training 1-rep maxes and so on. Eventually, it caught up with me. What do I do for chest right now? Well, it has to be a machine. Seated incline chest press machine where the hands pull in together at the top where I can squeeze, and I slowly lower the weight down. I go twice as slow on the way down as on the way up, squeezing and contracting hard at the top. That is what I do. Regardless of what gym I go to, I find this machine where I can push the handles together, always on a machine, and that is essentially the only exercise I can do. Incline dumbbell press? Nope. Any kind of dumbbells? Nope. Any kind of incline pressing, dumbbells, barbells? I can't do it. And so although it's choosing these exercises for the rest of your life, if he continues to ego lift, who knows? In 10, 20, perhaps 27 years when he's as old as Coach Greg, perhaps he won't be able to do it.
Bicep curls.
And for the biceps, he loves the bicep curls. Gonna do is with a barbell. And for me at his age, I think I would have chosen the barbell curls, but now that I'm a bit older, I prefer dumbbells. I like to go 2 arms at the same time. When I get tired, I then switch to doing 1 arm and then the other. I like to go strict at the start, curling out to the sides, pinkies up, and then when I get tired, I then cheat a little bit. I can go 1 arm at a time, and I allow myself to go harder than last time, training beyond failure.
Tricep push downs.
And for the triceps, tricep press downs, great exercise. And considering 25% of his exercises are in fact for the triceps, he's going to be doing more sets than last time. Jeff Nippard analyzed his workout and determined that 25% of his exercises are in fact doing the triceps. That means 1 out of every 4 times he's doing exercise, it is for the triceps. And so he's going to be pressing down for days.
Lateral raises. Rear lateral raises.
And surprisingly, he's chosen 2 exercises for the delts. The delts, not a very large muscle in comparison to, for example, the quadriceps, the glutes, or even the calves. Jeff Nippard stated the calves bigger muscle than the deltoids. In first place, it's the quads, almost tied as the glutes and the calves. You wouldn't think so, but he's chosen 2 exercises for the delts. And so clearly he favors those barn door wide shoulders. Shoulders to waist ratio, a huge indication of being masculine, having that attractive looking physique. And so he's doing side laterals to develop the lateral head of the delt and bent over laterals to develop the rear delts. Now, overall, most people are already going to overdevelop the front deltoids, and so I'm very thankful, glad he didn't list front lateral raises. This is an often overused exercise. In my opinion, it's completely a waste of time. You don't need to train the front delt. It's already being overdeveloped by doing any kind of pressing movements in terms of doing a bench press, incline dumbbell, or even shoulder presses. If you're bench pressing or doing anything above 30 degrees, you're certainly going to be building a lot of the deltoid muscles, and so please don't waste your time doing front raises. Yeah, if you're doing it to flex in the mirror because it looks cool, or you're a bushwhacker from the 80s, you know the wrestlers, the bushwhackers. But if you just want to develop an aesthetic physique that's balanced, don't waste your time doing front raises. Do lateral and rear lateral raises.
What am I missing? Back. Lat pull downs. Rows.
And for the back, he's listed 2 separate exercises. I fully agree with this. When you're training back, you need 2 styles, we'll call it, of exercise. You need one where you're pulling down and one you are pulling towards the body. Pulling down, it doesn't matter. Do you want to do chin-ups? Do you want to do pull-ups? Do you want to do pull-downs? Do you want to use a neutral grip? Do you want to use a pronated grip? Do you want to use an underhand or supinated grip? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter!
Well, yeah, you can argue that the science-based listeners will say it makes a big difference, but listen, it doesn't make a big difference. If you only did one form of pull downs for the rest of your life, if you only did chins, you don't think you're going to develop an amazing back. And so yes, you can tweak your hand positions, you can do all types of motions, you can go narrow grip, a bit wider, you can go ultra wide, but in the end, as long as you're training hard and progressive overloading, you're going to make some gains. Now remember, this is for the lats. When you do the pull downs, mostly for the lats, but you also need to pull towards your body.
What kind of rows?
Well, seated cable rows.
Sam says he prefers the seated rows Personally, myself, I don't like seated rows. Not that it's not an amazing exercise, but for me, I have lower back issues. It's very difficult for me to do seated rows, and so I prefer chest supported rows. Whether it's seated or a T-bar row, whatever, doesn't matter. Makes it easier on my lower back, and I can train harder than last time. When I go to the gym and I train my full body on any given day, typically I'll do a couple of sets of pull downs and a couple sets where I'm pulling towards my body. I vary from day to day. Sometimes it's a pull down, sometimes it's a chin up. But for Sam Sulek, he's choosing the pull downs, which makes sense. Think of it, if he's older, he's not going to be able to chin up with his body weight. At 80 years old, not many people can do full chin ups with their body weight, and so it's going to make more sense to use a machine. It also is easier to pyramid up in weight. You can pyramid down, you can do drop sets, and so pull down's an excellent exercise. The seated rows, just make sure you don't round your back too far. Try to keep yourself upright. Lean forward approximately 30 degrees as you stretch forward, and lean back no more than 10 degrees. If you lean too far back to pull in the weight, you're just cheating yourself. You don't need to do that. Try to use less ego lifting in the gym.
And I've got room for one more.
Yes, I would right now be expecting something for the calf muscles. As you said, you want to train your entire body, but perhaps the calves don't count. Many people neglect the calves. They just don't care about it. It's oftentimes seen as a muscle you just don't need. And to be honest, on the professional bodybuilding circuit, if you do or don't have calves, it's not really going to hurt you that much. Although it's beneficial to have calves, I don't think it's all that important. Although when you're wearing shorts, that's the first muscle people are going to see. I still think calves not all that important when you really think about it. It doesn't really deter from the physique. As long as you have somewhat of the calf development, it's going to look okay.
And I've got room for one more. I'm sure you would expect another actual weightlifting movement, but as important as all those are, that has to be coupled with the cardio bike. The seated cardio bike, that'd be the last one.
But I really like his final answer here. The 10th exercise, the most important exercise that he would do for the rest of your life, the recumbent bike. Yes, he chooses a form of cardio as his 10th most important exercise. And so perhaps he's considering the heart. The most important muscle in the human body. Did you know that the heart is in fact a muscle? Cardiac muscle. We have smooth muscle tissue. We have skeletal muscle. We have cardiac muscle, also called the myocardium, is one of the three major categories of muscles found within the human body. Along with smooth muscle and skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, like skeletal muscle, is made up of sarcomeres that allows for contractility. And so there you have it. It's a muscle. Perhaps you didn't believe me. You thought it was just an organ in the body. It is a muscle that works, and essentially it beats and contracts involuntarily. You don't have to think in your head, beat again, keep beating. Imagine the work if you had to tell your heart to beat every single time. And so in doing cardio, it's going to extend his life. Perhaps he wants to live longer than 20 years. He would prefer to live 70 more years. And so doing cardio, it's going to extend his life. It allows him to burn more calories, to eat more food, and to stay leaner. And I don't know why he prefers the recumbent bike. It's going to burn fewer calories, a little bit easier than when you're sitting more upright. I personally don't like it as much, but hey, whatever you like is what you should do. If you don't like the bike and you prefer the elliptical or the stepper or the rowing machine, do the piece of cardio that you enjoy.
But if I didn't do my cardio, in between every set of squats, I'd be laying on the ground passed out.
And so just doing cardio, it's going to allow you to have better endurance during your other sets, better recovery. Think of it, if you don't have good cardio, you're doing heavy squats, deadlifts, and so on, you're going to be tired between sets, gasping for air. But if you have better cardio, you can recover faster between sets, allow you to make greater gains. And the number one supplement I have for cardio, it's GO2 Max. The main ingredient is NMN. It can improve your ability to perform cardio, to go harder than last time, to increase recovery between sets. And so if you're looking for something to improve your cardio, please consider GO2 Max. Code Greg, 15% off. If there was one supplement I could take for the rest of my life, I certainly would want GO2 Max on that list. I would also really like caffeine. Also, Turk Builder. You would be shocked to see how amazing this is. I'd also be adding in creatine. This, honestly, I'm not bullshitting. I would have this ahead of creatine. To me, this builds more muscle than creatine, better than creatine. I would definitely choose this over creatine. I get it. Creatine has more studies, 1,000 plus, but if you've seen the studies on Turkesterone, Turk Builder, you will be astonished at how great this really is. Interested in any of these supplements, Turk Builder, Acti Builder, protein powder, pre-workouts, and so on, please visit my website and don't forget code Greg, 15% off.
How long is your rest between sets when you're training hard and heavy like that?
It depends on the muscle group, because something like bicep curls, I can sit down for a minute because it's not so taxing on my whole body to reoxygenate. But with something like squats or really heavy rows, that'll be a few minutes. But it's really just until I feel like I'm ready to go again.
And so rest between sets, he says it would vary from 1 minute to perhaps 2 or 3 minutes, maybe even longer. Depending on how hard the exercises is, you should rest long enough to feel like doing the set yet again. And remember, this is his top 10 list that he would do for the rest of his life. I'm certain that depending on how old you are, this list would change. But for him right now, this is his list. Subscribe, click the bell button, and comment to boost the algorithm. If you liked the video, give it a like. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. And of course, if you want to support me and the channel, you can get one of my freaking cookbooks, the Circle Diet book, also the training book. And don't forget about coaching plans by me and my team, phone consults, even cameos. Head over to my website if you've got no money. Fine, no big deal. You get a free diet and training program. You go on the website. It's close to 50 pages. This is an amazing program. It took months to make. You definitely should give it a shot. Also, become one of the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.